Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Adventure Time, Season 6, Episodes 33 and on, basically. And I say that because I don't know exactly how many episodes we're going to do today. Basically, we're just going to go until it feels right to stop. Simple as that. And if it feels right earlier, it feels right earlier. If it feels right later, it feels right later. We're not going to do too many, though, obviously, but we'll see how far we go with it. So, yeah. Last time, we had a bear. We had a big king and some food people. We had some interesting stuff. But seemingly nothing like super important last time. Last time's episodes weren't as good, comparatively to how other ones have been, since coming back to this again. They weren't bad by any means, they just weren't as good. But hopefully we'll get some more here, that are really good. I don't know what to expect, as always, going into these. So we're just going to kind of have to find out. We're going to probably do a few episodes today, though, so I kind of want to just get into it. Not spend all this time in the pre-thoughts, just talking about things. And as always with this show, it's hard to really give pre-thoughts, because without an ongoing story, it's pretty much just saying the same thing over and over. It's like, oh, we're getting near the finale. They've been building up this comet. They've been building up Finn's dad. And it's like, it's like keeping saying the same things over and over, because there's nothing else to say. It's like I could talk about what happened last time, but it's like, it doesn't really seem to seemingly affect anything from week to week, so I really doubt that Bill the bear is going to have a huge effect going forward. I really doubt that the stuff from last week is going to be super relevant. Now, that doesn't mean it won't be. Adventure Time has proven me wrong on that before, but I doubt it still. And it just doesn't seem, and since it isn't a serialized series, since it is more of an episodic series, it just doesn't feel like I need to discuss what happened every time. With a serialized show, it's like, yeah, I should discuss that. I should go into that every time, because that's part of it. But with this, it's like, it doesn't really need that recap. So we're just going to get into this, hope for the best, see what these episodes have in store. And since we are doing multiple, I'm going to try to get most of my thoughts out during the reaction, so that I could just give my basic thoughts in the aftermath, the after thoughts. Yeah. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. This was an interesting set of episodes. Like, specifically these 4 episodes that we got to today were very unique. Like, even for Adventure Time, they felt very out there. Except for the first one, Jermaine. Jermaine actually felt like the most normal one, which is kind of saying a lot. So Jake has a dream regarding his brother. Well, the dream is initially him with two lady rainicorns frolicking, having shenanigans, doing what they do. But Jake ends up falling into this cube in which Jermaine is there. Jermaine kicks Jake out of the dream somehow, and him and Finn decide to go visit. They find out that while Jermaine is there, the house is surrounded by a salt line that is keeping some demons away. The demons seem to want some stuff, and it's kind of put together that the artifacts and whatnot that were collected by Finn, Jake, and Jermaine's parents were taken from these demons. Stuff like a cup, I think, was one of them. And it's like, all these demons just want their stuff back, man. We see that Jermaine is keeping one specific, not really a demon like the others, but this creature down in the basement as a prisoner. The creature had come in wanting his poster back, and Jermaine just imprisoned him because of the terrible stuff he was saying, I guess. But also because he kept breaking in. And so, after some mistakes are made and Jake accidentally uses some of the salt line outside to make fried rice, they have to fend off some demons and even get into a little spat themselves. They end up burning the old house to the ground, which used to be the family house and everything, and everything is just kind of wrapped up. Like they kind of decide to just make nice about it all and move on. And so it's like, all right, sure, everything's just peachy keen now. It seems like a good episode for the characters and just like building upon the family and everything. I don't know if anything in it besides, the ship that Finn was trying to fix is going to come back in any way, but it's there. But then we move on to chips and ice cream. And this was kind of the start of the what the fuck episodes of this set. So there's this bear named Morty Rogers who is putting on a show. And after the show, he asks everyone who's there, "Can I come to your house for dinner?" Which is a really weird thing to ask in the first place. All of the rabbits who are there end up having to go home with their parents, but BMO convinces Finn and Jake to allow Morty to come for dinner, at which point he ends up using this ritualistic voodoo spell to transfer chips and ice cream, which are these, basically, he calls them imps, I think. And he transfers them off of his head onto Jake's. Jake and Finn are, like, obviously put out by chips and ice cream. It just kind of like starts to drive them a little crazy because it's annoying. But in the meantime, Morty is just kind of losing it himself because he's lived for so long with them that he kind of wants them back, but he doesn't because he's finally free of the annoyance. So it's like it's kind of this mixed feeling he's having towards it. Eventually, like, BMO ends up finding out that chips and ice cream are actually speaking a real language, that their inflections and all of that actually imply what they're saying. And BMO manages to crack what they're trying to say and everything, and is able to help them with this goal to be free. So Morty, they end up luring Morty there to try and, transfer, to get him to try and transfer them back to him, which does work. He does try to transfer Chips and Ice Cream back to himself. But BMO stops the transfer, which frees the two imps and allows them to just go on. It's a really weird concept and episode. Apparently, according to this, Chips and Ice Cream actually have like specific respective voices listed, and it's Riki Lindholm and Kate Micucci. The latter of which, Kate Micucci, Sadie from Steven Universe, among other things. But they're actually both, they both work together as this comedy duo, Garfunkel and Oates. So it's like, that's funny that they were brought in to voice them, even though it's like you can not really tell at any point because they only say literally one word in just different ways. Like, I would never guess it was Kate Micucci, and I know her voice pretty well. Yeah, it was just fucking weird. It was just weird. 35 was one of the more interesting ones. It was really weird and everything, but it was very interesting. It's called Grable's 1000 Plus. We've had Grable's episodes in the past in which Cuber ends up like showing us stuff from the past and everything. In this one, we actually follow him a lot more like directly. We do get to see some Grables, seeing the characters just do things and have a few little like moments there. But mostly we're following Cuber, and we find out that sometime in the past he got in this sticky situation with a Beast when he was a kid after getting separated from his sister. And in the current day, he ends up crash landing on Ooh after accidentally destroying a space wedding and being chased by the wedding guests. And he has to kind of escape them all while going over these Grables shortly and using the knowledge of that to survive. So we can see that Cuber's all of that takes place sometime in the distant future. Maybe the title tells us it's over 1,000 years in the future. Ooh is very much desolate. It looks like it's like we already know Ooh is post-apocalyptic, but I think it's even more so now. Honestly, it's like it's the post of the post-apocalypse. It looks like everyone is gone except Marceline's house still has lights and everything going on, so maybe she's still around. But like you see all of this stuff that used to like that relates to the Grables, like oh, he finds this grass mound that is basically just a emaciated grass lump or whatever it was called. And he pulls out this tracking tooth that's starchy and one of the Grables planted in it. And it just thanks him and slowly crawls away, basically. So it's like, okay. Seeing these Grables basically gives Cuber the ability to get through these things. And he eventually defeats the aliens who are coming after him, allowing him to get back to his ship where his sister just happens to be. And it's like, this is really interesting because it's like this almost feels finite, or final rather. Finite's the wrong word in this case. It feels like this is probably the last Grables episode. It just has that feeling to it. One, it says in the episode, like, he holds the last Grable up and he says it's the last one. So it's like maybe that's what it's going for. This is the last one, so we follow his character a little more closely and get to actually learn about him this time. The Graybles themselves are just very kind of bland, boring stuff. Not really anything interesting. Princess Bubblegum is watching Starchy and he's trying to get rid of the tracker and stuff like that. Ice King is being Ice King, yada yada. Nothing really special in any of that. It just really wasn't anything to talk about. Everything that was important to this episode focused on Cuber himself. And yeah, it's interesting. And it's like, in a weird way, I kind of want to know more about that time period. Like, exactly how far in the future is it? Like, for real. And is everyone pretty much gone and dead at this point? Like, there's a lot of questions that this raises. Because it's like, we even saw the tree. When he was digging up the wand, the wand cannon thing that Finn, Jake, and BMO buried, like, he was right in front of the tree, but the tree even looked decrepit and old, and it's like, how, like, far in the future is this, and what does this all mean? That's what I want to know. But instead, the episode is like, we're probably not going to visit this again. And it's like, and it's annoying. Because it's like, that's honestly the most interesting part of this. And it's just like, we're probably never going to see it again. But our last episode of this set was Hoots. So, Cosmic Owl is doing his thing, going through dreams, and in a dream from Finn, he ends up seeing a female bird who, as he noticed, has butt feathers. A plume, basically. He ends up falling instantly in love with her, which you guys know I'm not a fan of the love at first sight idea. It's a really bad idea, bad concept in general, and it's not realistic. Like, it's not. But I'm not going to get into all of that again here, because I've talked about that before. But yeah, he falls in love with her, and it's all he can think about, even when hanging out with Prismo. So he tries to track her down in dreams, and eventually does. They end up kind of becoming close, and she, after he brings her to his place, she wants to see the dream of Princess Bubblegum. At which point, in the dream, which, since the Cosmic Owl is in, becomes prophetic, that was made a point of in the episode, the bird lady melts and kills all of the Candy citizens, after which knocking Princess Bubblegum herself into them to drown and possibly die. And it's like, oh, fuck. That's not okay. That's really dark. And it's like, especially since this is a prophetic dream, it's like, that's gonna happen now? All those Candy citizens are just gonna die? Now, we don't know if Bubblegum's gonna die, because that was kind of left open-ended, but that has to happen now, right? If that doesn't actually happen in a future episode, I'm gonna be disappointed, because that is perfectly set up to happen. But yeah, it's like, obviously, the Cosmic Owl is really upset by this and chooses to wake the Ladybird up and basically just leave her. He's no longer in love with her because of how fucked up that was. And it's revealed that the Ladybird was a dream version of one of the Gunters in Ice King's care. One of them, I don't know what this means, because I think Ice King refers to all of the Gunters as he, with he, him pronouns. So could this mean that this one is actually she, her pronouns? Maybe. But also, it's like, is this how the Gunter sees herself? Like, does she see herself as this beautiful ladybird and everything? Is that kind of like her dream self in a way, like literally in this case? That's the only thing I can really think of here as to what that would imply. And I know this is just me seeing things where I want to see them, but it's like maybe it's because of my own experiences that I can't help it. But it very much kind of to me read as a trans allegory. Like a character who is actively referred to with he him pronouns dreams of being a beautiful feminine lady bird rather than this stumpy little penguin. Like, come on. There's something there, right? At least you can see it. Um, Again, maybe it's just because of my own experiences and everything that I see that, but it's just what came to mind. It's what I saw in that. Okay? um, that is really interesting, though. And we see actively, like, the Gunters are very destructive, so it makes sense in that regard. But it's like, it also seemed like at the end, Gunter was actually kind of broken up a little bit about being woken up from the dream, and maybe Gunter had a thing for the Cosmic Owl. It's possible. It's very possible. But no matter what, I'm headcanoning. Like, it is my headcanon now that Gunter is trans. And that she wants to be a beautiful ladybird, and I think that's awesome. Um, the destructive aspect of things, not necessarily the best. Especially because I really like Princess Bubblegum, but yeah. It was just a wild, weird set of episodes. I don't really know how to take a lot of it. um, but it was entertaining at least. I was interested in watching them. Uh, eh, okay, okay, interesting. Raises a lot of questions, but interesting. Tell me your thoughts on these episodes down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.